I'm about to show you 3 immune boosting dinner recipes that are going to make you feel so damn cozy. So it's fall and the kids are back to school, well, most of them I think, and it's chilly and rainy and just super kind of gray outside, and this is the time of year when we all start to feel a little bit like maybe we could use as much boost as possible for our immune systems. This is the time of year where I, for one, love to just get super cozy and just snuggle up with warm, comforting food. And if that food happens to be, have immune boosting capabilities, then even better. But I'm not really gonna get into the nitty gritty of like the vitamins and minerals that make immune boosting foods what they are. To me, it's more about the food that makes you feel good and feel comforted. That's what I'm talking about. When I was younger and I had a cold, I used to eat Chef Boyardee, like canned like zoodles, which I know have no physical immune boosting properties, but they made me feel good and they made me feel comforted. I don't really go for the Chef Boyardee anymore, but I still go for bowl food, the stuff that just warms you from the inside out. So I thought I'd put together a little video featuring 3 immune boosting dinner recipes that I've been loving lately. They're full of nutrients, but most of all, and most importantly, they're full of ultra comforting properties that will make you and your family feel like $1,000,000. Oh, by the way, all of these dinners are like one sheet or one pot wonders, which is even better. They're perfect for weeknights. First up, sheet pan salmon and broccoli. I just turned on the oven to 425. It's heating away. First things first, I'm gonna make a little immune boosting dressing that's gonna get dumped all over everything, and it's gonna be super good. So in this jar, I have about 1 inch of ginger and 2 really big cloves of garlic. And when I say big, I mean it. Like, this is what we're dealing with right now. This is local, very high quality garlic. I'm gonna say, if you're ever on the fence about what is worth it to buy at the farmer's market or what's not, garlic is the most, other than tomatoes, I'd say garlic is about the most worth it thing to go and buy locally because it's so juicy and sticky and like, ooh, so good. Or you can grow it yourself, which is awesome. Anyway, so ginger, garlic. Things are getting a little wild because it's Saturday night. Into the jar, I'm gonna add a grated zest of an orange. This is a really citrusy, bright, zingy dressing, and we're gonna put a little bit right on the salmon and broccoli to bake it in, and then we're gonna save some to just drizzle over at the end, which is just the perfect thing. It's like it's a little 1-2 punch. And I'm also gonna zest 1 lemon. We made lemonade in the summer for like a lemonade stand with the kiddo, and we had to juice so many lemons that I said we couldn't do it unless we zested all of the lemons first, because I could not bear to throw away like 20 lemons worth of zest. And he was so grumpy about it. He's like, what? I have to, what did he call it? Grind them or something? I don't want to grind them. It was really funny. And then the juice of both the lemon and the orange are gonna go in. I just got a new juicer thingy from the dollar store. See if it's any good. I think this orange is too big for this thing, so I'll just squeeze it with a fork. So we've got ginger, garlic, lemon zest and juice, and orange zest and juice. I'm gonna go in now with one of my favorite condiments, the Korean brilliance that is gochujang. This stuff is so good. It's basically a Korean chili paste, and it's rich and super flavorful, and it's just great. I love this stuff. It's very popular these days too. So about a tablespoon of gochujang and about a tablespoon of honey, which I'm not gonna measure because who wants to spend any time scooping honey out of a teaspoon or whatever. About a tablespoon. And then about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, eyeballed. And then because there's bits in here, I find it best to just use my hand blender to blend it all up. I almost forgot the oil. I would normally use vegetable oil, but all I have is olive right now. So I'm gonna go about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Oops. Ooh, it's really nice. Now that the dressing's out of the way, I'm gonna get to chopping up the broccoli. So I have like a decent sized chunk here. This is enough for 2 people. So I'm just gonna cut up the broccoli into little bite-sizey kind of florets. I'm not gonna waste the stem. I'll just trim off the very woody end and kind of like the very outer tough bits. And then just slice that up. And I'm gonna get that into a bowl because I'm gonna toss it with the dressing. One more thing I'm gonna add to the broccoli though is half a red onion. I found this half red onion in my veggie scrap tub, so I didn't have to cut into this brand new fresh one. How's that for a life hack, eh? Just gives it a nice little bit of color and, you know, more immune boosting properties, really. So I'm gonna dump about 1/3 of the dressing on that. And you can toss it with a spoon, but I happen to be a pretty efficient bowl tosser, so I'm gonna do that. That was more like half the dressing, wasn't it? Let's go with half. And then that's going into our 425-degree preheated oven for about 10 minutes. So the broccoli and onions are gonna spend about 10 minutes on their own in the oven, and then I'm gonna prepare the salmon, which all it is just dumping more of this dressing over the salmon. And actually, I can just use the same bowl to kind of make sure the salmon really gets coated in that dressing. And then this is gonna go in for another 10 minutes with the broccoli and onions. So that's what it looks like. And I'll just fire that in with the other stuff in a few minutes. So, as you can see, things are starting to get a little bit soft. There's even a little few brown bits forming, but it's far from done. What we need to do now is just move all this stuff over, still keeping it nice and kind of separate. And then I'm just gonna plop the salmon on right there. This is a big piece of salmon, but we're really hungry, aren't we? And then that goes right back into the oven for another 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, so this next one is so unbelievably good. It tastes like something that you just completely poured all of your heart into and cooked all day. It's Instant Pot chicken thighs with brown rice and mushrooms. And it's kind of like somewhere between a stew and like a casserole, I guess. So there's nothing to it, literally. You just chuck it all in the Instant Pot. What I have here is 3 onions that I've chopped. I have just shy of a pound of mushrooms that I've quartered, and I quartered them because I was feeding this to a child who doesn't like mushrooms. So I thought if we quartered them, then they'd be big enough to pick out, and it worked. And then I have a sizable quantity of garlic here. This was 4 cloves, but like I said earlier, I have really big juicy cloves right now. So 4 juicy cloves of garlic. All I'm gonna do is literally dump all of this stuff into the Instant Pot. And along with that, I'm throwing in 2 bay leaves, about a teaspoon of rosemary. You can use fresh or dried. I have dry, and when I'm using dry, I always like to crumble it. If I'm using fresh, I always like to chop it, or just put in the whole sprig, but chopping's kind of nice. So that goes in. And then 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika. The paprika just ups the coziness level just a little bit. And then the chicken. So I have a pack, it's kind of like a family pack of chicken thighs, I guess. There are 9 here, but often these same packs come with 12 chicken thighs. They're just a bit smaller. So those all go in. And these are boneless, skinless, which makes this whole operation even simpler. 1.5 cups of brown rice. I've got short grain brown rice, but medium is also good. And then a liter of water. If you had chicken stock, that would make this extra good, especially if it was like a really good kind of bone broth, chicken bone broth, that'd be great. I'll just use this fork to kind of shuggle things around a little bit and make sure everything's kind of submerged. All right. So that's going on full pressure for 24 minutes, and then I'm just gonna let it slowly release for about 10. This next one is the epitome of what I want when I'm feeling a little under the weather or just a little bummed out. You know, I just want to feel good. This is like feel good food at its finest. So this one originally was done in an Instant Pot, but I want to prove that it can be done either way, on the stovetop or on the Instant Pot. So I'm going to do it on the stovetop this time. Into a Dutch oven, I'm going to chuck 1 large onion, diced, 3 large carrots, grated. So what I really like about this is the texture. I don't want this to be super smooth, but I also don't want to like bite into chunks. So grated carrots is the way to go. And I have a really big chunk of ginger, like a thumb size, but like if it was an ogre's thumb, you know, like really big thumb. That's the amount of ginger we're after. And then garlic as well. So that's all going into the Dutch oven, and I'm not sauteing anything. You notice with both the brown rice thing and this thing, no sauteing required. Just everything into the pot. And then I'm gonna add in some spices, and I know that this is kind of like sacrilegious to not toast your spices ahead of time, but I'm not feeling good and I just want dinner and I want it to be fast and easy, so this is what I'm making. So I've got a teaspoon of cumin. I've got a teaspoon of cayenne. That's for if you like it spicy like I do. I've got half a teaspoon of turmeric. And I've got about a teaspoon of curry powder and a tablespoon of salt. Then a full can of coconut milk, and this is what I'm looking for when I buy coconut milk. Nice, thick, creamy coconut milk. And then this size measure, I think this is about a cup. It's like a generous cup of red lentils. I love red lentils because they just turn to mush and they cook really quickly. And then I'm adding 6 cups of water and I'm gonna fire it onto the stove. So if I were doing this in the Instant Pot, I would put it on full power, full pressure for 10 minutes and then release the pressure and it's done. Because it's the stovetop I'm using, I'm gonna bring it to a boil and then reduce the heat to low and simmer for probably about 20 minutes. So the salmon is done and this is what it looks like. So the broccoli is nice and crispy and perfect and the salmon is cooked and you can kind of smell a little bit of caramelization from the honey in the dressing. That's fine. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna have some of this left over, but I am gonna drizzle a little bit on top just to kind of make things extra zingy and flavorful. And then I'm gonna dish it up. So we've got the saucy, roasty, toasty broccoli. I'm gonna put a big pile of that there. So the salmon is perfectly cooked. It's just cooked through. There's a tiny bit of a darker pink bit there, but just juicy and delicious. There's no room on these plates. There's not enough room. I don't see any reason why not to throw a bit of cilantro over the top too, because there's a lot of good stuff in cilantro. You know what I'm gonna do with the rest of my cilantro, right? I'm gonna put it in my veggie tub and use it tomorrow. So that's it. That's our dinner tonight, and I feel so excited about it. It's delightful. You gotta have that zingy dressing. So good. The final thing I like to do with this chicken stew is add in some green stuff. So usually it's just spinach or arugula or some Swiss chard or something that I have on hand. This time I also added a bunch of green onions, like a whole bunch. Like about 5 green onions or so. Because again, I want the immune benefits. And I'd love adding a little bit of fresh, bright green stuff at the end of soups and stews. It's kind of one of those moves I like to pull once in a while. And this, I mean, I'm not even gonna cook the greens in it. I'm just gonna stir it up and they'll wilt ever so slightly in the 2 minutes that they're sitting in there getting stirred around. It's already thickening up more. Yeah. That's the business right there. Okay. So I'm just gonna serve up a small bowl because, you know, I already had dinner and all. This is like second dinner / snack. And that's it. Man, it's so good. If you feel a little under the weather, this is going to turn things around for you, guaranteed. It's surprisingly fatty and chickeny, even though we used boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It's got that like viscosity that you get from chicken broth, you know? Now let's take a look at the carrot, red lentil, ginger soup. Oh, I love this thing. Look at this. It's like sunshine in a pot. By the way, both of these, the chicken and this carrot ginger thing, are both better the next day. Fridge cooking is highly recommended here. So, let's bowl this up. The only thing I really want to do to this is give it a little squeeze of lime. just to freshen things up. Where did my spoon go? I'm gonna have like a million dirty spoons. And that's it. Oh my God. This is so nice. It really is like a hug in a bowl. All these recipes are full of ingredients that are like powerhouses for making you stronger and boosting your immune system. But more importantly, they're just ultra comforting, and they're going to make you feel better because it feels good to eat them, you know? So I hope you like them. I hope these help you get through the fall and winter months. All of the full recipes will be available at howtomakedinner.com, so be sure to check those out. If you like this video, I'd love it if you'd hit the like button. That really helps me out a lot. It helps more people see the video. And if you're into regular cooking content showing up in your feed, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you next week.